וכי נפשי es Hashem. Yesterday we discussed the issue of carrying in public domain. Today we continue, for example, the issue of someone with an amputated leg. Can he carry that and what condition? Last line of 65, Mishna, Hakiteh yotze b'kav shelo divrei Rabbi Meir, 66 top of the page. Rabbi Meir hold that the amputated leg may go out on Shabbat with a wooden leg. Rabbi Yossi Oser, and Rabbi Yossi prohibited because he hold that it's a min'al. It's like a shoe, but it's not. He hold that anything that made out of wooden, it's not considering a min'al. It's not a caution. So he basically hold that going out a public domain with wooden legs, since it is not considered to have a legal status of a shoe. V'im yesh lo beit kibul ktitin tameh. But if the wooden leg has a replaceable for pads, so it's ritually impure. Again, in a practical halacha, we discuss what's the halacha in the Shin Aleph, in the 301 Shulchan Aruch. Samochot shelo, and his support. Said Tme'im midras v'yotzim b'Shabbat v'nechasim b'hem b'azara. It's ritually imparted by treating, and you go out with them in the public domain on Shabbat, and you may enter the Beit HaMikdash courtyard with them. Wearing shoe in the temple courtyard is prohibited, but in this regard, the supports does not have the legal status of shoes. Kiseh v'samochot shelo Tme'im midras. His chair and supports are subject to ritual impurity imparted by treating. ואין יוצאים בהם בשבת ונכנסים בהם בזרה. You not go out to them on Shabbat, you not go to the Beit HaMikdash courtyard with them. Luktamin, teorin, luktamin, which is later the GEMARA explain, ritually pure, ואין יוצאים בהם, why may not go with them on Shabbat? GEMARA. אמר לי רבא, לרב נחמן, רבא said to Rav Nachman, היכי תנן, how did you learn the dispute in our Mishnah? אמר לי, Lo yadana hilchot Shabbat. I'm not so sure what exactly the halacha in this matter. So they said Hilchot Shabbat. What's the really halacha? Amar lei lo yadana. I don't know. Itmar Amar Shmuel en hakitea. V'chen Amar Rav Huna en hakitea. So Shmuel hold that the amputee may not go out, and Rabbi Yosef permit him to do it. Amar Rav Yosef Uriv Amar Shmuel en hakitea. Because they both, Shmuel and Rav Huna hold that he cannot, so I hold the same. Matkiv l'Rav bar Shira lo shmiya lu. Hadematnela Rav Hanan bar Rava lechia berachgamei de Rav. Didn't you hear that bekitona de Rav, in a small room in the Beit HaMikdash of Rav? En hakita yotze b'kav shelo Rav Meir Rabbi Yosef matir. Rabbi Yosef allow, Rav Meir not allow. So why you all go one way? Umach v'lerav, and Rav give you him remez implication ipuch, that go the opposite. That Rav Meir allow and Rabbi Yosef forbade. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak v'simanach samach samach, which means that because they said Rabbi Yosef said it's both that way. Ve'av Shmuel hadarbe, so it means that Shmuel changed his mind. That nan, this is a halachot in regard to chalitza. It's a Yevamot Kuf Aleph 101. Chalitza besandal shelo shelo. Torah asked a woman that was rejected to take out the shoe, and what was the issue if she took a shoe that not belong to the yavam, sandal shel etz or small beyamin? She did it in wood instead of a regular one, or she used in the left leg instead of the right one. Chalitza kshera. The still chalitza is valid. ואמרים לה מהי תנא? Who hold that? אמר שמואל רבי מאיר. רבי שמואל said that's Rabbi Meir. Why did תנא? כדאי יוצא בקו שלו דברי רבי מאיר רבי יוסי אוסר. Rabbi Meir hold that kitea, amputate, go by because it's not considering min'al, he can go by himself. Rabbi Yossi because he hold that kaf shel ed, something that made wooden, is considering min'al, and that's the reason. Rav Huna darbe. So you see here that Rav Huna also reverse his opinion. The Tanya, as we taught in a Braita, sandal shel sayadim, a plastered sandal, which means those who basically painted, worn by those who walk with a line and who cover with the leather shoes, with a shoe woven from the straw or reed that was leather shoes, were not worn by the line. So they said tameh midras, it's a heavy issue of impure, ritual impurity imparted by treating. ואישה חולצת בו, and a woman may perform a chalitza with it, ויוצאים בו בשבת, go out on Shabbat, דברי רבי עקיבא ולא הודו לרבי עקיבא hold that, and the rabbis did not agree with him. But he said, V'atanya Odula, we said in Tractate Shabbat chapter 2 that they agree with him. Amar Ravuna Mai Odula Rabbi Meir. Ravuna said, in a resolution of the apparent contradiction, they said it was opinion referred to the phrase Hodulo, they agree with him, it's Rabbi Meir. Uman Lo Odulo Rabbi Yossi, the one who disagree with him is Rabbi Yossi. Amar Rav Yosef, it's a question if this is Rav Yosef said or is just the sages said. Lo Odulo, Man Lo Odulo, whose opinion that they did not agree with him? Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, Detnan. Remember Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri when we discussed Pesach and Kitniot. Detnan, kaveret shel kash u'shoferet shel kanim, Rabbi Akiva metayer, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri metayer. We said that if you have a straw and a tube made of reeds, Rabbi Akiva deems these vessels capable of becoming ritually impure, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri deemed it pure, which means incapable of becoming ritually impure because they are not vessel. So which means according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, straw objects are not considered vessels for use. Amar mar sandal shel sayadin. So we said a plastered sandal, that's object of ritual impurity, in part by treating tameh midras. It's impure by the midras. We said why? Halav lehilucha. How could that be? The sandal is not made for walking. Amar Rabba Baravula sheken hasayad metayel bo shemegia lebeto. He said that he used walking. Why? Because at times the plasterer walk in them until he reaches his house. But if the wooden leg has a receptacle for pads, is capable to become a ritually impure. He is impure in the corp to matmed, but not ritual impurity imparted by treating, which means that the Zav uses a wooden leg. It assumes a first degree of ritual impurity. But Rav Amar after Midras, Rav said that the artificial food is even subject to ritual impurity by imparted by treating. Amar Rav Na'amina la Rav said from where we derive this halakha detnan agala shel katan tmei midras. So a wagon or small child utilized to teach him to walk, that what Tosfot said is subject to ritual impurity. Abai said the two cases are not comparable. There is a case of wagon, you learn that his weight on it. Here's the case of wooden leg, it is not lean, all his weight on it. Where we learn this, it's from a walking stick, typically used for elderly people. Is pure, is incapable to become a ritual impure from any form of ritual impurity. Verava. So how does Rava respond to this proof? He said that there is no distinction between the cases. So he said hatam, in a case of walking sticks used by elderly people. Let's turn to page 66. B letarutze sugya avida. That's the purpose is only to align his step and strengthen his posture. Hacha. But here, in the case of wooden leg, lismoch ilaveu de avida vesamichle. It's made to lean on, and the fact he leans on it, to weight on it. Now we say that about the kiseh, that someone who's amputated or someone who's leaping. So they said tmei midras ven yotzim bahem v'shabbat nichasim bahem ba'azara, as ritual impure imparted by treating, and one may not go out on them on Shabbat, not enter into the temple courtyard with them. Tana Kamed Rabbi Yochanan nichasin bahem la'azara. Tana Kamed Rabbi Yochanan said allowed to go in the courtyard with them. Amar le ani shonei isha choletzet bo vat amar nichasim. I said that women can do chalitza with it, and you said that one may enter the temple courtyard. Tanei teach the Mishna the following manner: en nichasim bahem la'azara. Should not go to the temple courtyard. Luktemin Torah. We learn the Mishnah the luktemin are pure. So the Gemara asks, "My luktemin? What's the luktemin?" Amar Rabbi Abahu Chamara de Akfa. Rabbi Abahu said that there are wooden toys in the shape of donkey, one carry on his shoulder. So he said, Rava Bar Papa Amar Kshirei. He said that there is the stilts used to avoid getting dirty when they walk in the mud. Rava Bar Arun Amar Prame. He said is a masks, is a prame. It's like they cover the face like they do in Purim, making fun to make children laugh, right? So it's because it's not the ornament and it's not something that you can use, that they don't receive too much maga. Mishna. Habanim yotzin biksharim. The boys may go out Shabbat with nuts as a folk remedy. Ubnei melachim bezugin, and the sons of the king, princes, go with bells. V'chol adam, and any person permitted to go out on Shabbat with those objects. Ela shedibru chachamim ba'oveh. Sages speak about in those days the present, addressing situations that were prevalent. That's the way they used to do it. Meaning even a simple person can go there, but usually the rich people used to do that. Mike Sharim, what exactly the Gemara asks? What is these nuts? Amar Adi Mari, Amar Rav Nachman bar Baruch, Amar Rav Asher bar Ravin, bar Amar Rav Yehuda, Kishurei Poad, name of the other, that the gardens of the mother, which is a plant of the Thai for the medical purposes, for the medical qualities. Amar Abaye, Amrali Em. Now, just a side note, the father of Abaye passed when his mother was pregnant, and his mother passed upon delivering him. So the woman that took care of him, it's like Meineket or Menet, the woman that nursed him. So he called her, like the Gemara in Kiddushin 31, he called her mother. So you see many places in the Talmud that mother gave him advice in many things. Right? So Amrali Em, my mom said, Tlata Mokmei. So there are three different three gardens maintain illness that is present state and prevent it from worsening. Chamisha masu, shiv'a afilu lichshafim ale. 5 garlands heal the illnesses, and the 7 are effective even against sorcery. So again, we have to remember that those advice is in those days, and it's not necessarily applicable. But Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov vehu de lo chaze leshimsha v'sahara. That's apply only when you don't see the sun and the moon. V'lo chaze mitra, and you don't see the rain. V'lo shmiya lekol barzela, you don't hear the iron knocking. V'lo kal tarnegolta, not the voice of the like chicken, or v'lo kal nigre, you don't hear a voice of someone walking. Again, Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak nafal puta bevira. So Nachman bar Yitzchak said that in the case the power, the matter fell in the pit, which means so many conditions exist that with all the intents and purposes it's provided, it's no beneficial at all. Why is boys not girls? Why is it young people? Why maybe old too? If the son misses his father, like in those days when I was in yeshiva, so sometimes the early stage you send the children to a dorm, so they miss. So when the son, when he has a tremendous amount of need, he is like longing for his father, and it's difficult time leaving him. So the father take a stripe from his tie shoe and tied it on the body left arm as a like talisman to help the child overcome his longing. So it's these feelings are more common in the small children, especially in the boys, for the fathers, as they right.
Does he help?
It's advised. He said that it's the strap is like the tefillin, it tied in the right hand on the left arm, and the opposite, tying the strap from the left shoe onto the right arm, is dangerous because they exacerbate his longing. So again, is that help? It's a good question. Amar Ravin bar Ravuna Amar Rav Chama bar Guya schufei kasa atiburi b'shabta shafir dame. Avin bar Huna says Rav bar Guya with regards to overturning an empty cup which had been in water and placing on one's navel for healing purposes on Shabbat, he may well do it. Amar Ravin bar Ravuna Amar Rav Chama bar Guya mutar lasuk shemen melach Shabbat. He said that we allow it permissible to smear oil and salt on a person on Shabbat. When they go to a place that when they are drunk, so they bring oil and salt and rub them on their thumb, on their hands, and the salt on the feet, and say, ושאל גלוות הלידה וגלוות הקראו, ואמרי, כי אחד הצילה מישחה ליציל חמרה דפלנה בל פליינתה. Say, just as this oil clear, so let wine and so and so and so and so, which means his mother, become clear. In other words, let them become sober. Ve'ila, and if he could not bring oil and salt, which means they didn't walk, you'll bring the sealing clay of a barrel and soak it in water and say, so just as a sealing clay is clear, so let's wine so and so, so and so, so become clear. Again, remember the historical context. He said that it's permitted to basically tightly bandage the neck on one who was verbeda was dissolved in order to reset it on Shabbat. Later we speak the practical halacha in that manner. It's a swallowing a baby, you're allowed to do it. Rav Papa matne banim, Rav Zvid matne ben. Papa said in plural, Rav Zvid said in singular. Rav Papa matne banim v'travayu matne lo be'avin baravuna, Rav Zvid matne ben, kama ita matne be'avin baravuna. So it's a specific one. Hi, matne Rabba Bar Chana, Rabba Bar Chana lefufe yenuka b'shabbat shafir damei. He said that with regard to tightly sweating a baby on Shabbat, one may well do so. Again, those remedies, it was in those days, but Amar Abai Amra Lihem, again, Abai said in half of his, in a way, adopted mother, or so he said, from here, Kol minyan bis madima v'chol kitre bismala. All this type of ideas that are repeated are intoned using the name of the mother of one, requiring this type of things, and all the knots tied for the purpose of healing are tied on the left. Whatever those who specify, if not specify, 141 times. Again, this one was some type of ideas that apply to those days. The sages taught in the Braita, women can go with a prevention stone, which means they carry it and they have a belief that that's prevent miscarriaging on Shabbat. Mishum Rabbi Meir Omer, Amru af b'mishkal even tkuma. In the name of Rabbi Meir, they said that God, even if for the court weight, again, for in this velo she pila, it's not because she miscarried, ela shema tapil, because maybe she entered that domain. Velo she ibra, and it's not that that she is in that state. Ela shema titaber v'tapir. Maybe she get pregnant and miscarry. Amar Rav Yoma Bashlema Mishmed Abai Behudi ikavan veitkal. He said that all of these apply only when he happened upon an object that was found equal to the preservation stone, where he weighted against the stone, not with the one altar, the subject to equal the weight of the preservation stone. Baya Abai Mishkal Mishkal Mai. So Abaye raised the dilemma with regard to this court weight and the court weight, which means one will find an object and determine its weight by weighting it against the court weight of preservation stone. What is the halacha? Said teiko. So again, unresolved matter. Tishbi taretz kushiyot v'ibayot. V'amar Abaye amra lihem. That's the last one for today. What Abaye said on behalf of his mother. לאשתה בריומה לשקול זוזה חיברה ולייזי למחלתה ולתקול מתקלה מלכה ולציירה בחללה וצוואר בנירה ברכה. So she said, to heal a fever of one day, let one take a pail, which means newly minted dinar, and go out to salt pools and weight its in salt against it, and let him bind the salt to the opening of the neckline of his garment with a thread made of hair. V'lo, if this remedy is not effective, leitu v'parashat ragichim, we go to the intersection, crossroad, v'chichaz eshum shenagam ladedar emidei, if he sees a large ant carry something, lish levishal beguved and chasha, he should take the ant and place it in the copper tube, which means v'listemei be'abara, and he close it with the lead. What?
Lead.
Yep. And seal it with 60 seals. ולברזולה ולהידרי, and he shake it and lifted it, and he said, וליימלה, and he should say, תאונח עליי ותאונח עליי. It's like this type of, your burden is upon me, and the burden in my fever is upon me. אמר לרב אחא ברד רב הונא לרב אשי, ודילמה אינן ששכח ויפסק בי, maybe a person forgets how to do it, אלא ליימה לך תאונאי ותאונה עלך, my burden, your burden is upon you. ואילו, again, if it's not, remedy is not effective, לישקול קוז החדתה, ולייזה לנהרה, let him take a new job, and go to a river, וליימה לי נהרה נהרה, he should go and he said, river, river, עוזפן קוזה דמיה לאורחא דאיקלה לי. He said, lend me a jug of water for a guest who happened to come to me. ולהדר שב זימני על רישי, and let him turn around his head 7 times, ולשדיין לאחורי, and pour it out of water behind him, ולמלא and said, נהרה נהרה river river, שכל מה ידי אהבת לי, take back the water that you gave me, דאורחא דאיקלה ביום העתה וביום העזר, because the guest who happened to come to me came on its day and left me on its day. So basically, again, here we speaks about this type of advice that mainly apply in those days. הקיטע יוצא בקו שלו ורבי יוסי אוסר. שולחן ערוך שין א' 301 said that one who is an amputated leg may go out on Shabbat with his wooden leg. And Rabbi Yossi prohibited it. So the ruling that an amputate may not go out with his wooden leg on Shabbat applies only when he does not actually support himself with a wooden leg, since in that case it is only decorative purposes. So that's the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. But otherwise it's okay. Samochot shelo, an amputee who's fashioned leather covering for his knees and walk on them, so may go out with them on Shabbat. Sandal shel sayadim, wooden sandal of plasters, become ritually impure when worn by the zav. That's again practical one. Now, agala shel katan, a child wagon, can become ritually impure even with the impurity imparted by treating a zav. That's again halacha, the time that we take zav in a sense of disqualified for doing korbanot or being part of the azara services. But he said luktamim, one may not go out on Shabbat with the image of a donkey made by a clown, which means that the mask, because all the luktamin and others, it's like the ancient Romans used to have this mask from the like prame from Mishnaic period. How about the shemen umelach b'Shabbat? One may smear a mixture of oil and salt, that's Eliyahu Rabbah, on his palms on Shabbat. Lefufi yenuka, it's permitted to tie a swaddle baby a line to dislocated limbs on Shabbat. So again, in a situation like you need to save him. Now, yotzin be'even tkuma, that's the last halacha of today. One may go out with a preservation stone, with a counterweight of preservation stone on Shabbat. Again, basically those people who believe in that power, but he may not go out with the counterweight of the preservation stone because of ruling is stranded in unresolved dilemma and ritual matters. So basically, again, the big question here is what exactly the effect of that one. So maybe it's compared to kameot or not. It's the question that unresolved.
es Hashem